there, my anime people. Welcome back to Seoul Spectates. I am Soul, and in today's episode, we're going to change it up a little bit. So normally I, pick a show, make it as a two-parter, do a review, talk, all that good stuff. But we're going to be reviewing shows that are going to be coming this summer, which is actually very soon. I believe some of these animes may even come towards the end of July. So we're going to be checking out the synopsis of some of these new shows. We're going to be checking shows that are coming back and what we're going to be expecting. And we're going to also talk about some movies that are going to be coming out. So stay tuned. Oh, hi, konnichiwa. ごめん。ソロへようこそ。ソロがサスケしたポッドキャストを見ています。Let's go! 3、2、1. So starting off, this anime show was actually originally supposed to air in April 10th, so more during our spring of anime shows that comes out, but it was hauled off because of COVID. And now it's actually coming back for the summer. And this is Snafu, the third season. So this anime show centers around Hachiman, Yukino, and Yui, three high school students that start a club in order to help other students with any of their friend problems, even though they're having issues of themselves making real friends. Hachiman, for instance, is a loner, completely hates people, and does not want any sort of human interaction or friendship and doesn't seek anything. Yukino thinks that she doesn't need any friends because she's better than everyone, so they're just extra baggage. While Yui believes that she has genuine friendships, but realistically is hiding her true self from her friends and is making a facade in order to make sure that everyone likes her. And together, they actually form a bond of friendship that even they say they're not really friends, but are more real than the very friends that they tend to help resolve their problem. So this anime show I fairly enjoyed. I mean, I love the dynamic between a stone cold bitch that thinks she's better than everyone, but still has want and aspiration to have these meaningful relationships, but understands that it's not that simple and friendships can be very complex. And this is Yukino I'm talking about. While Yui has this other outlook of friendship of it being maybe not perfect, but still better than just being by yourself, and some interaction is better than no interaction at all. Sometimes to the extent of maybe sacrificing yourself as a person, but for the most part, she sees the value and genuineness and need for friends. And then you have Hachiman, who's completely shut off from it. So he doesn't have his reasons like Yukino for no, and he doesn't have his reasons for Yui, which is yes. He's just there, just existing, not needing, even though you can clearly tell he really wants it. He just doesn't know how it works. And this anime show, the reason why I liked it so much was because it really explored these friendships of it not being perfect, of it not always being sweet and kind and happy like in shows and movies and other anime shows. It really shows the different layers that a friendship can have, and the different interactions people can have with it. And it's incredibly funny, witty, and a lot of the scenarios really test these like ideological sense that these characters have with making friends, and it's really tested to see whether or not it changes or evolves, or they change themselves to be the people that they truly want to become. And all while doing this in high school, which is a boiling pot of a mess. And we all know how high school went. So I'm incredibly excited to see what the third season holds, and whether or not we're going to see maybe some match pairing, because Hachiman finds out kind of, about Yui and that dynamic, and Yukino's also there, so there's definitely a love triangle that they're trying to develop, and they were doing it very slowly, so maybe now we get to see some sort of a payoff or something. So very interested to see what that's going to be all about. So the next anime that's coming out is the second season of Re:Zero. I mean, fucking finally. I have been waiting for the second season to come out for this anime show. I mean, it's just such a great show. It really develops its characters and shows the interaction and puts them into situations in order to see how they come out of it. And it's interesting to see how they take the isekai genre and really go in depth where no anime has. I mean, there has been some that have done satire stuff, poking fun, making joke of the genre, and trust me, there's a lot of things you can poke fun of for this genre. But this one makes it more serious, kind of what if you would be taken to another world kind of thing. And you kind of see Subaru's struggle with finding his footing and, having these expectations that just aren't meant. And not only that, but seeing his own imperfections. Because in most isekai, I mean, the main character are male or female that gets, transported. They're always perfect, never have any wrongs. And this one, he has faults that even sometimes is kind of abrasive and kind of makes you not like him, but he does ends up growing and, developing into this character that we want to see, that we expected to see maybe episode 1 of an isekai, but it took him almost an entire season and he still needs more growing. And it's great to see all these characters come back and just get to more insight on where they're heading, what they're going to do, where more of this growth is going to be coming from. What else are they picking from the isekai genre that they want to kind of develop more and kind of showcase that this genre can be made good if given the right, world and the right characters and good writers and all these other things. So incredibly happy that this anime is coming out for the summer. I can see that it's coming out July 8th. So we will see whether or not it comes out that day. But you guys, I'm going to be reviewing this show. So good. Very excited. So the next anime show I'm going to be talking about is Fire Force, the second season. This anime show really captivated me because of the world building that they did and the attention to detail they really added, from the clothing of these characters to how the world works, and even how they open up every episode with a brief little description of their world and what happened before, what led them to live in this kind of society with, once upon a time, the first man found fire, and then they go off from there. And each, mini clip kept really showing more and more about this world and giving more of an understanding of what happened before that led to all of this and why are we here now, which is really good. So you can clearly tell that whoever made this anime show has a deep understanding of what they're writing, of the world. I mean, really took his time with it. So it's very exciting to see it come to life, especially with these characters. So I'm very happy to see that it has a second season and that we're going to be able to see where it continue off from, because we see Shinra and his dynamic with his brother, and we want to see how that, is going to go. We see and notice that Shinra is also getting extremely powerful, and we want to see to the extent that he can take that. And we're also starting to see that even people within the Fire Force we cannot trust, and who are they and why are they causing these issues, and who is this Joker guy and why is he trying to help Shinra? Like, so many questions still unanswered that we want, more information on. And hopefully the second season can be just as good as the first one, if not even better, and can highlight a lot of these inquiries that we have with our favorite characters. So now we're going to move on to the next anime, which is Sword Art Online Acceleration War of Underworld second season. No surprise there that Sword Art Online has another fucking season. I mean, this anime show has really evolved into something else at this point. I mean, it's trying to be a One Piece, Naruto, all these other ones. So I'm not gonna lie, the first season of Sword Art really captured me. I know for a lot of people this happened too, where as the season progressed, it started getting a little bit out there, and you were just like, huh, okay. Then Gale Gun comes out. Sure, the world is a little bit more interesting, grittier, a little bit. I sort of enjoyed it, but at the end of the day, it's the same shit, you know? Oh no, someone video game can kill, and Kirito's over here trying to save the world or whatever. Nothing new. So when Alization came out, it was completely different. I mean, to some extent, it's still the same kind of idea with Kirito, but they're really taking these huge leaps and trying to really change a little bit more of the Sword Art Online genre for themselves. And it's really refreshing, and I actually enjoyed this new, I guess, era of Sword Art Online, which was very, you know, grittier and really gets into your emotions with, these characters and what's been happening to them and kind of how that's been growing and evolving. And even during the end of Underworld first season, I mean, the fact that they literally removed Kirito, I was kind of, thrown off because this is our main character. And I was just, whoa, what are we gonna do? And can this anime show hold up without their main protagonist? And it can, because they built a lot of these great characters that we're now starting to see where they're going, and it was just incredible. So hopefully, and I pray that they keep this trajectory going and not recede back to their little kerfuffle that they had during the, I guess you can call it, the second part of the first season, where their fairies will, we'll see. So this one is definitely one to keep an eye out for. The next anime show that's coming out for this summer is The God of High School. And this one is a little bit about high school students basically having battles within their own high school in order to have these, like, tournament about who is the best fighter in high school. So right off the bat, from what I can see from the poster and some of the characters, it's a very stylized kind of art. So I don't know if they're going to keep that for their anime. It might be interesting to see if they do. I hope, because the thing is, if you're going to be doing an anime show about fighting, the fight scenes has to be good. If nothing else, the fight scenes have to be good. Because if it's not, then it will kind of fall flat. And because, I mean, already this kind of plot just sounds a little bit generic, nothing that crazy. I mean, it says in a synopsis that there's more brewing under this, and I don't know how complex a plot line can be about high school students fighting each other to see who's the top, but I mean, a little bit skeptical, but we will see where this goes. I'm definitely going to give it that 3 anime episode watch. If it does not captivate me by the 3rd episode, I'm definitely going to be dumping this one. Another anime show that's coming out this summer is The Misfit of Demon King Academy. This one is about a demon king that gets reincarnated after 2,000 years. And right now there's an academy in order to train the next demon king. However, it's a little bit different because now that there's not a lot of war and it's a time of peace, a lot of these, I guess, high schoolers training to be demon kings don't really have that much magical, powers, and aren't that strong and aren't that aggressive and mean, as kind of this older demon king kind of having to teach them, but he's not that good at being a teacher. So this one is kind of reminding me a lot of, I don't remember the name of the animation on the top of my head, but it's basically, I think it's like a bad academic instructor or something like that, where this mage who's supposed to be really bad and sucks at his job is actually an amazing teacher and like does all this funny and fun stuff for his students and really teaches them what magic really is and what that means, and really go in depth from where their studies has actually been able to take them. So this one is sort of kind of sounding like this one, not completely sure, but we'll definitely be looking out for the Misfit of Demon King Academy when it does come out. The next anime show is called Peter Grill and the Philosopher's Time. I can't wait to tell you this description. So apparently throughout the land he's known as being the strongest fighter. And there's a girl that he likes and that she likes him, and they're trying, to get together. But he finds out that there are other girls trying to vie for for the opportunity to carry his offspring. And right off the bat, you already know this is an ecchi harem. And it sounds like literally everything else, where the one guy is probably gonna be, not in tune to what he actually wants to do and his desires and actually trying to fulfill it. It's gonna be very, funny, very, these girls just fawning and falling all over him, and he's just, no, I can't, and all this blasey blahs blahs blah stuff. Like, it's just another basic one. I mean, I wish someone could do kind of like what they're doing with Ray Zero for the ecchi and harem genre. I know that there are a couple of them that are pretty good, but not to that extent. This one just seems to be another basic one, so I might give it a watch. I mean, hopefully, you never know. Maybe the world is more expansive and maybe they might do something different towards the end, kind of stuff, to kind of flip it around so it's not just another generic one that kind of feels the same way as the rest of them. So this one is kind of just something that we just have to see. So this next anime show is called Nihon Shibutsu 2020. This anime show already sounds incredibly interesting. It takes place shortly after the Tokyo Olympics in 2020, and a major earthquake hits, and you have these brother and cousins kind of having to maneuver around this earthquake and a lot of this devastation, having to survive and change their lifestyles and their outlooks and how, they normally viewed the world during, a regular situation now under these dire circumstances. And you get to see them making hard decisions and, sacrificing stuff just in order to live. And the synopsis for the anime show is just extremely interesting, and you don't see this a lot where it truly focuses on, this family and how they try to make it out of this disaster. So I'm incredibly interested to see how this anime, holds up and whether or not they're able to deliver everything that they're promising based off of the synopsis, because I've seen a lot of regular movies do this and it's been very interesting. So it's nice to see now a anime show where it has more time to really develop these characters and do more stuff with them. So incredibly interesting, and we'll be watching this one for sure. So this next anime show is called Monster Girl Doctor, and it's basically about this, obviously a doctor who takes care of these animal girls, well, monster girls that kind of come for him for help, and they're fighting during this war, and he basically heals them. Obviously, he's going to be very harem-ish, like, I don't know about if it's going to be ecchi from what I see, but it's going to be focused on that. And apparently, some person in the village or something takes a Valkyrie egg and is trying to see whether or not what he would do. So it kind of seems like this doctor may be a little bit meek and to himself, and maybe this kind of situation may awaken something in him to be a little bit more aggressive and more different in personality than what he used to be. And it's setting a precedent for him. So this one, honestly, there has been a lot of anime shows with monster girls. either it never does good, or it's not interesting enough, or it's too slow burning for some people. The characters are pretty generic, and it's just it's kind of hard to see something like this. I mean, I know there was an anime show like that in the past where this high school teacher, I don't know if he's a doctor or psychologist, but he basically researches and takes care of high school students who are also monster girls. We saw this ecchi about this guy who has this snake girl that, and these other ones. I mean, that one was pretty funny, but I mean, it didn't go anywhere. Like, it didn't have a second season, wasn't picked up. So I don't know, maybe this one can be different since it sounds like it has more of a plot. So I guess it's just something, like, again, we just have to wait and watch and see where this actually goes. So I am interested and hopeful that this will actually go somewhere, but we won't know until we see it. So this next anime show is called Super Hexeros. Oh, okay. It's basically about the students using ecchi and erotic powers in order to defeat these monsters that are, I guess, causing stuff in human. There's something called this sensor bug that feeds on human sexual energy to evolve. So we already know it's gonna be ecchi. I don't know to what extent it will be, but okay, I know some of you may be thinking like, damn, he must really hate ecchi. It's not that. It hasn't been done well from what I've seen. I need to say that from what I've watched, I haven't been able to see an ecchi that knows how to be sexual but not do overly too much. It seems like the genre always goes above what it needs to be and sometimes borderline cringy and uncomfortable. There has been some where it's been, perfectly fine, nothing too crazy, but I mean, really ecchi monsters and like these like students fighting them. I mean, from the cover art, it looks really good. I can't say that. It looks good. That's why I kind of was reading the synopsis and wanting to see more information about it. But seeing the plot line already seems highly generic. And the only twist now is that it's just in a lens of it being ecchi. So hopefully it has more substance than just we're ecchi and this is it. So that's all I can really go off of since I didn't really read the manga for it. So my first interaction will be watching the anime show. So here's to hoping that it's actually good. The next anime show coming out this summer is The Titan's Bride. Now, this one I did read the manga for, and I'm very interested to see how they are going to, well, one, how many episodes there's going to be, two, how they're going to showcase certain scenes, and three, whether or not they're going to kind of take the liberty to kind of add more to it, or maybe talk to the writer. I mean, I don't know if maybe he has more material for this manga that they're going to be adapting to an anime, but they clearly, from what I've seen, need a little bit more. So this is basically about a student who gets summoned to another world, and this is within a giant's country, and he is to be a bride to, I guess, like a king or prince that lives in his country. And apparently if you are a giant and a dwarf, which I guess that's the term that they call humans, you can actually have a baby. So this is a gay or yaoi, or over here is also called shonenai anime, And the story is actually very good. There is a lot of character development, a lot of growth, and a lot of cool, crazy scenes that they can definitely play around with. Now, in terms of other things that I brought up initially, was there was only, I guess, 10 chapters, which is really not enough when you think about it in the grand scheme of things for an anime show. So I'm not sure if what they're planning on doing is doing small bursts of episodes, like 10 minutes of an episode, or if it is going to be the regular runtime, which is a 20 to 22-minute episode for an anime show, then they definitely need to extend some stuff, kind of showcase other things, or add more to the story, because the story moves along fairly quickly. Like, it really gets to the point. And then the other scene that I was talking about is in the manga, it's very explicit with some of the scenes that they have during sex and violence and stuff that they have. So I'm interested to see whether or not the anime show will take it there. I'm assuming no. They might show little innuendos or little things here and there, but I'm not sure if they're going to go all the way in. It is possible. I mean, I have seen a couple aoi that have done it, but I specifically am not sure whether or not they will be doing that. And then in terms of anything else, I mean, I feel like this is going to be a standalone, which is basically just a one season, one and done. Or even if there is more, they're not really trying to continue on. It was just meant to be this one thing. You can count how many yaoi that can actually continue having multiple seasons. So I will be watching. I am interested to see how they are going to adapt the manga, especially it being very explicit. But I will be watching this for sure. So the last two animes to look out for is Gibite, which is basically a anime show about Japan, where in 2030 there is a viral disease that kind of turns people into monsters depending on their age, sex, and race. And a ninja and a samurai gets, I guess, time travels or gets transported into this time period with all this chaos and stuff, and is helping the remaining surviving humans to basically come up with a cure in order to save mankind. So this is an interesting one because this isekai is reversed, where someone from their own world is being transported to this one, even though technically this is not a fantasy world, it's our world with just chaos happening. From what I've seen from the trailer and the images, it seems very good. My only hesitation that I can see is that there isn't going to be a lot of great fight scenes. I mean, taking Fate State Unlimited Blades work as one of the top tier fighting that has been done really well. I mean, there's other ones I can name too, but that was like the first one that comes to mind. Hopefully they can achieve this too, which I can see the same problem again happening with that other new anime show that's coming out, the God of High School. So this one already has a good plot from what it seems, and I'm interested to see why exactly they turn to different monsters based off of age, sex, and race. So I'm assuming that each one of them has certain looks and abilities or strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that. So it clearly does have a more deeper plot that they're trying to go into. So hopefully they are able to really go in depth and showcase this anime, or if it's going to be just a very clean cut story, at least have good fighting scenes. And then the last one is called Ninja Collection, which is an anime show just basically about, ninjas trying to stop the spread of evil. So the synopsis is extremely short for this one, and I'm interested to see whether or not this anime show is going to go more in depth and it doesn't just want to showcase stuff within its trailer or within its synopsis. It wants people to go in without any type of information, because I mean, I have seen that a lot, where certain movies that I didn't have any expectations for tend to perform a little bit well in my mind because I didn't know what I was getting into, versus, movies that are, I think are horrible, but I go in being better than what I expected, or movies I thought were supposed to be incredible ends up, kind of tanking. It's interesting to see this anime show kind of go with that, with not giving a lot of information, but a generic synopsis for the anime show, and then letting you then see it and see what you actually think based off of that. So now we're going to get into the movies, and there's only really 2 that I've seen that I'm really looking out for the summer. So the 2 movies to look out for is Violet Evergarden movie. I know there was another one that was aired, I believe, a couple months ago. It's on Netflix. It's really good. And now they're doing another one, so I'm interested to see what kind of situation Violet's going to be in, what person she's going to be affecting, how her own growth is progressing, and how, the world around her is changing. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if maybe they give her some type of a love interest. I'm not sure, but I will be watching, and hopefully, I mean, they're airing a couple movies, so I'm thinking they're not really done with this anime show, so hopefully maybe there's a second season in the works that we may not know about, so we'll keep that in mind. And then the second movie that is good to look out for is Umebe no Etranger, which I'm assuming is like stranger in a different language, because it's definitely not Japanese. But this anime show is a slice of life romance shonen ai, and it's basically about 2 young men that meet at the beach and are basically, falling in love with each other. So it's a love story. So that's another one to definitely look out for from what I've seen. So that's about wraps it up for us. Thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast. Definitely let me know through emails or anything whether or not if I missed anything, or what kind of anime shows you guys are definitely going to be watching and are looking out for this summer. So this is Seoul signing off.